Promise that you're not angry enough about the fact that the most expensive thing you'll ever pay for in your life is racism. People aren't being hyperbolic or abstract when they say racism is expensive. We can't have universal health care in this country because, my God, an undocumented immigrant just might get a tooth filling.
Being racist in America costs all of us. It's very well understood now that no one can afford college because of Ronald Reagan. College in the United States used to be affordable, if not free, until the 1980s and Ronald Reagan. And they realized that a ton of Black Americans were starting to go to secondary universities. So they made the cost of going to college astronomical, unaffordable, unapproachable to try to whitewash attendance. Unfortunately, for a lot of lower and middle income white people, that also meant you get caught up in the net. Now no one can afford college because they tried to keep Black and brown people out.
Because what do you mean that the Alligator Alcatraz Detention Center is going to cost $450 million the first year? And what do you mean that that money is being taken out of a FEMA shelter and services program? Because what do you mean that you're okay with the budget for Medicaid, public libraries, school lunches, etc. being cut?
I love this dispensation where Black people don't have to use their voices or even try to convince anybody that indeed racism is and has always been expensive. Because now these people are coming out, complaining and talking about how the price is too high, the cost is too much, and they can't handle it. You know how they used to be passive about it? Telling Black people you're overly stretching the truth. Now they're living the reality in 2025. That when they thought they are punishing Black people, it is costing them everything. And you know why I love this time? Now they don't have to be told to talk about it. It's making them uncomfortable. And the discomfort, they can't handle it. They are literally putting out their skeletons on the media. And I want us to look at some of how they are saying and thinking, this is literally too much for us and we have to talk about it. But hey, welcome back to the channel, my people. It's your girl Gracie over here. I do hope that from wherever you are watching this from, you are doing all right, and hopefully God keeps protecting you and preserving all of you, providing and watching over you. Yes, we have an interesting episode to look at today where palm-colored people are expressing and exposing how racism is now costing them everything. And I think they have joined the fight and the struggle. Should we welcome them on the gang of strugglers or hustlers? We'll look at these clips together, come back and talk about it. Do me a favor, like the video, share it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you are palm-colored and you're watching this, what do you think about this? And for the melanated community, what do you think about this? I'll be back.
Promise that you're not angry enough about the fact that the most expensive thing you'll ever pay for in your life is racism. People aren't being hyperbolic or abstract when they say racism is expensive. We can't have universal health care in this country because, my God, an undocumented immigrant just might get a tooth filling on the taxpayer's dime. We can't build more housing in expensive cities and neighborhoods because, my God, the Black family from the bad part of town just might move across the street from me. We can't have free public university because, my God, my precious white children who are born into generational wealth may not be able to compete with the low-income migrants from the Middle East. We can't even talk about homelessness because we have to spend more money on immigration enforcement than almost every other country does on their entire defense because, my God, brown people may get in unauthorized if we don't do that. We had to elect the racist, dementia-ridden orange maniac back into office because he told people who look like me that people who don't look like me are eating their pet cats and dogs. And the people who do look like me believed him. And now we all have to pay for these nonsensical tariffs because economic literacy took a backseat to racism in the last election. Racism is incredibly expensive.
Being racist in America costs all of us. It's very well understood now that no one can afford college because of Ronald Reagan. College in the United States used to be affordable, if not free, until the 1980s and Ronald Reagan. And they realized that a ton of Black Americans were starting to go to secondary universities. So they made the cost of going to college astronomical, unaffordable, unapproachable to try to whitewash attendance. Unfortunately, for a lot of lower and middle income white people, that also meant You get caught up in the net. Now no one can afford fucking college because they tried to keep black and brown people out. And it's happening again in 2025. In the big and stupid budget bill that they've come up with, they're cutting Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP benefits, and FEMA. Why? Why are they cutting all of these programs? So that they can build detention centers for ICE. So because you're racist against brown people and you don't want brown people in this country, they're going to spend billions of dollars on building detention centers, camps, prisons. They're going to use your tax money to pay to fly them out of the country, to pay customs and border agents to round them up. That doesn't happen for free. So they're going to cut FEMA. So the next time you see a hurricane, a tornado, a fire swoop through your town or your neighborhood and destroy everything, and you wonder where FEMA is, it's in jail. Instead of saving each other and your neighbors, you're now paying to incarcerate brown people. They're using our money for hate instead of help. And you're good with this?
Because I'm a poor white, I just find it so fascinating that poor white people blame other poor people, like poor black people, poor native people, for their problems. I don't think poor white people understand how expensive racism is, especially for you. Here's the thing, any problem you have as a poor white person is systemic. It's because of your government. Your government will block social programs that could potentially help you. Because black people may get access to it too. Native people may get access to it too. Immigrants may get it too. And right now I'm seeing this happening with people from Mississippi that are poor and white that were completely obliterated by Hurricane Katrina. Getting mad and passive aggressive towards NOLA people, black people from NOLA, because of Hurricane Katrina, the documentary by Ryan Coogler. How is your government, the rich white people with all this power in their hands in so many different people's pockets, how is it black people's fault for what those rich white people are doing as a poor white person? How do you arrive to that conclusion? How is 1 + 1 18? I don't get it. Racism is expensive. Racism is why you don't have access to anything. How in natural disasters, you are left for dead. You will get popsicle sticks to rebuild. And that's it. Your insurances will fuck you over. They will leave you behind because you're too poor to afford it. And do you know who you should blame for that? It's not the poor black people. Or the people that you think are abusing the system that aren't. Because I'll tell you who's abusing the system. The people that made it. The rich people that benefit from it. Those are those people. And statistically, they are mostly white. So you're being betrayed by your own community. You are being sold down the stream in your poverty by rich white people, and you are blaming the poor black people across that fucking stream. Racism is expensive. I think poor white people need to realize that this Hurricane Katrina documentary by Ryan is not actually about Katrina. It's about what happened during Katrina. It's what happened after Katrina to the black people of New Orleans. Sorry. Maybe if you want to make it about Hurricane Katrina completely obliterating parts of Mississippi, you should talk about that. You should talk about that. I think that you should talk about that. We want to hear you talk about that, but not at the expense of black people. Not on the backs of black people. Not on the coattails of black people. You're mad at the wrong people. Please stop. It's embarrassing.
So here is the thing that I do not understand. People that support detention centers for immigrants and the mass deportation efforts, and I say immigrants because now both documented and undocumented immigrants are being targeted by these operations, okay? People are okay with that, complain about immigrants being a drain to society and wasting American taxpayer money. But why are they not complaining about all the American taxpayer money that it's being used for this anti-immigrant operation measures, whatever you want to call it? Because what do you mean that the Alligator Alcatraz Detention Center is going to cost $450 million the first year? And what do you mean that that money is being taken out of a FEMA shelter and services program? Because what do you mean that you're okay with the budget for Medicaid, public libraries, school lunches, etc. being cut, while also giving ICE $100 billion? What? You say you're anti-immigrant because they abuse and take away your hard-earned American taxpayer money, but that money is being used right now to fund detention centers and mass deportation efforts against immigrants, so they're still using your money. Listen, let's not even talk about how all of these anti-immigrant measures are funding the pockets of rich people, because a lot of these centers are privately owned and they have secured multi-million-dollar deals with the government. Let's also not talk about the billions of dollars that undocumented immigrants contribute to this country and pay for you as a U.S. citizen, an American citizen, to have services, because undocumented immigrants don't have access to these services. Let's not talk about all of that. All I'm saying is that if you are not okay with immigrants wasting your hard-earned American taxpayer money, then you shouldn't be okay with all this funding being used for immigrants. It makes no sense. Like, think about it.
Why, oh why do poor white people vote against themselves time and time again? They vote for Trump and the other MAGA politicians only to have every promise broken, prices go up, social supports evaporate. Here's why. First, remember what I talked about recently, the psychological wage of whiteness. That term was coined by W.E. Du Bois to describe poor white folks being paid with social status rather than decent living conditions. They're convinced by the elites that they're better than black folks, better than immigrants, Latinos, LGBTQ folks. They're convinced that being white puts them in the same league as the elites. Of course, the elites know otherwise, but the poor whites buy it because they're grasping at straws. Second, they are convinced that the people they're supposedly better than are the big threat in their lives. Not the rich, not the corporations or the politicians, but immigrants, black folks, welfare queens, LGBTQ, criminals, you know, the usual scapegoats. Third, the elites promise protection to poor white folks. A politician comes along and says, I'll keep those people in their place, or I'll kick them out, or I'll lock them up. Or, more politely, I'll defend your values. They don't say, I'll make your life better. Well, they say it, they just don't mean it. They'll say, I'll make sure they don't get ahead of you. Fourth, they vote for the punishment, not the policy. When a law gets passed that slashes public housing or school funding or food aid, they think, good, that'll stop those lazy freeloaders. And they do some mental gymnastics that make them believe it's worth losing those things for their own families in order to see those problematic black people and immigrants and so forth being punished. It gets to a point where just seeing those guys being punished is reward enough, which is pretty sick, but that's how behavior works. Their housing, schools, and groceries are on the chopping block too, but they blame that on Biden. Always a scapegoat. They get hit by the same policies they were told would punish the others, and they blame the wrong people. The system fails them, but they've been trained to blame the scapegoats, not the cause, which is the rich people, the people they voted for. So they think the problem is still those people, not the fact that they were personally manipulated by the people they voted for. They're basically saying, I'll take the hit as long as you don't help them, or worse, as long as you hurt them. That is the psychological wage Du Bois was talking about, the trade-off between material security for racial status. And that's a crying shame, folks. One share, like, save, and comment shows that you care about white people taking responsibility for racism in America. This work is important to me, and I want to keep doing it. If you want to support me, consider a donation of any size to coffee.com/Kelly Snyder. And yeah, spelling is important. Get curious.
Cowardice. Because this is about racism. And if you can't hear it from them, then hear it from me. As a white woman and a daughter of a man of privilege and power, he knew that his strength was to bring people that didn't look like him to the table of government. And so 50 years later, after Barbara Jordan, aided by white people to have a voice, the first woman of color elected to the South, a woman who sat in the impeachment of Nixon, a woman who said that finally, after amendment, debate, and vote, I am finally part of we the people. To stand here as a 50-year-old woman and know that we now go back in time. So let's talk about cowardice and cheats. Because if you knew you could win this next election, you wouldn't be taking this effort to try to steal 5 seats from elected officials that members of color elected to represent them in Washington, D.C. You wouldn't be doing everything you can to take this coalition of diversity and stand up at the mic and say, why are we doing this? Because we can. And you shield your racism with your party, with ignorance and arrogance, to come up here and say, to be honest with you, I haven't read the bill from the other side. To be honest with you, I haven't talked to the lawyers to be bringing this before it. Because you think that people will give you grace on ignorance and arrogance around party, because you can't admit that the root of all of this is about racism and power. A power grab. A pure power grab. And so I'm going to ask, don't shake your head, because I'm going to give you a moment to prove what you mean behind that. Because when Donald Trump called Georgia Republicans and said, hey, boys, I need you to steal me almost 12,000 votes. To those men credit, they said, no, sir. We already know what Governor Abbott.
It's not that people don't have the facts about racism. They just don't want to hear them. They have all the data, they have all the facts, they don't want them because the truth threatens their identity and their status. And that's why this work isn't just about facts, it's about fear, naming the fear. And if you're white, that's our job. White fragility is a real thing, we all have it in us. And I think if we want to push change forward, we need to be able to hold this fear it triggers and do something with it. And also, equity work isn't just about holding your own fragility, it's about interrupting collapse in other white people. So other people, black people, don't have to. People of the global majority should not have to hold our fragility. We created the problem, and that means our discomfort isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning of the work.
Some of the most racist people that I've ever been around are the kindest to animals. They will sit there and dote on their dogs and just like really make sure they have the most pampered, amazing life possible, while at the same time defending police violence, using racist dog whistles, or even criticizing movements that promote social equality. You would think that compassion for humans and animals go hand in hand, but for many people it does not. Because ultimately they see their pets as an extension of themselves, whereas with other people who are members of minority groups, they see them as this distinct and separate entity. That's why you'll also see white people have a lot more sympathy for the white South African immigrants that came here. Their empathy only goes as far as themselves or their families, so that includes their dogs, that includes people with the same skin color as them. But the second they are asked to empathize beyond that, that's when it stops, because their hatred has consumed them, which has led to a historic pattern of white people treating their animals better than human beings. And when they owned human beings and animals, the animals were treated much better.
So I was inspired by another content creator who broke down how racism is expensive. And as a Black nurse, I wanted to expand that conversation, especially when it comes to education and professional licensing. So let's start with nursing. Nursing used to be hospital-based training, apprenticeships where you learned on the job, became competent, and then you practice. But as more Black women entered the profession in the early 1900s, states shifted toward requiring formal nursing schools and standardized exams. Eventually, that became the NCLEX. So on the surface, it's about standards. In reality, it created expensive hurdles, tuition, exam fees, and prep costs that disproportionately kept Black nurses and working class students out. Even today, the NCLEX pass rates for white nursing graduates is nearly 88%, while for Black nursing graduates, it's around 66%. The same knowledge, but a system designed to widen gaps. So law works the same way. Before you became a lawyer by clerking, you used to study under an attorney. But when Black and immigrant lawyers started breaking through after Reconstruction, states rolled out the bar exam. By the early 1900s, nearly every state required it, and the effect was immediate. The number of Black lawyers plummeted from over 1,200 practicing after Reconstruction to just a few hundred by 1920. Access suddenly required not just knowledge, but the ability to pay for law school and the required testing. And medicine? The Flexner Report in 1910 shut down almost every Black medical school in the country, leaving only Howard and Meharry. 7 Black medical schools existed before 1910. 5 were closed, wiping out generations of Black physicians. Today, less than 6% of U.S. doctors are Black, a direct legacy of those decisions. From there, licensing exams like the MCAT and state boards became the gatekeepers, ensuring the pipeline of Black doctors stayed small. So these shifts aren't random. They are deliberate. They took affordable paths, clerkships, apprenticeships, hospital-based training, and then replaced them all with standardized exams that were expensive and exclusionary. So when we say racism is expensive, this is what we mean, and this is a great example of it. Every time a Black nursing student has to take out loans for tuition, pay hundreds for exam fees, or retake the NCLEX because of built-in inequities, we are watching history continue to repeat itself. Racism isn't just an ugly idea. It's built into the very systems that decide who gets to be a nurse, a lawyer, or a doctor, and it costs us all.
So the MAGA people are having so many moments of F around and find out. And this man that's in this White House has shown them so many times in the last, it's just July. And they have been shown that this was a mistake so many times since January. Do you think they're going to finally get it? Do you think they finally tired? Like, do you think they really understand at this point that they made a huge mistake by putting that racist and bigot in the office, that idiot in the office? Do y'all think they really understand that now? No, I don't think they do either. I don't think they, never mind. No, I don't think so. But I hope that they, at least on some level, understand that, number one, they give no sympathy. They get no sympathy from those of us who tried to tell them that everything that is happening, we told you was going to happen. So we don't feel sorry for any of you all. But I hope on some level y'all understand that racism is expensive. Not just financially, but y'all, I know y'all understand financially, or y'all should understand that it's financially it's expensive too. But money has been lost, lives have been lost, jobs have been lost, homes have been lost, farms and livelihoods have been lost because of racism. So y'all thought that it was only gonna be us, Black people, brown people, people of color. Y'all thought we were gonna take the brunt of the racism. But racism is a double-edged sword. If it don't get you going, it's gonna get you coming. Because you all put somebody in office who has no morals or values, who doesn't live by a code, who's a coward. So that man will do anything. He will sell out anybody at any given time. Throw anybody under the bus at any given time. Because he does not have any code, that he lives by, any morals, any values. He's soulless, he's godless. So yeah, I hope at some point that the MAGA people and everybody that fostered his behavior understand what they did. What y'all think? Y'all think they're gonna get it or not? Let me know.
So racism has always been expensive. It's always been expensive. It's just, they always thought that they would have the fee. They always thought they would have the fee, and hell, for a good minute they did. They had the fee to give. See, the problem is now they don't have the fee. They don't have the fee, so it's becoming a problem. And rather than stop trying to pay the fee, y'all will literally yourselves and the reputation of this country, of this nation, trying to pay a fee that y'all should have been stopped paying. Okay? Y'all should have been stopped paying. When colleges went from being tuition free to tuition based in in the 1960s, that was all because y'all couldn't stop us from getting educated anymore, so you wanted to put a roadblock in there. You wanted to make it harder for us. We didn't have the capital like you guys did, so you added tuition. The reason why America doesn't have universal health care is because that means everybody would have access to it, that including people like me and you. And they don't want that. They thought that they would always have surgery money. They thought that they was always going to have outpatient care money. You understand? Private doctor money. Hell, I'm not going to an office. I can always have them come to me. That's what they thought they was always going to have. And as they started to see that they were losing leverage, rather than stop paying the fee for racism, they said, bitch, here, take my arm, take my leg, take my organs. To the point where you guys are where you are today. Still trying to pay a fee. Going out of your way to pay a fee. That literally is you. It's you. And then now that you're starting to realize that y'all really did around a little bit too much, you want my pretty black get up out of my seat to come and fight for you? Oh, you're fucking stupid. Oh, you're beyond stupid. You're beyond my pretty self. You see me? Y'all see my brothers and sisters? They fine too. We supposed to get up out of our seats? Up out of our beds? And I heard a white woman literally said, Black people, stay where you are. I would never take no advice from white people unless it was on how to be selfish, because that's the only thing that I think that they can give. However, this white lady said, do not get up out of your seats. You want to know why? They want us to get out and be in the streets so that now they can plot to kill us, doing exactly what we're doing. Like, this is why they so hot. This is why they 50 degrees. Like, they hot because they wanted us to come out there so that we could be fussing and ducks. Especially considering they done seen how expensive racism is now. But it's always been like that. Y'all just didn't care because y'all had the fee.
I know this was never on your 2025 bingo card. I know not so many melanated people thought that this time is going to come. When you have these people that are now standing up in droves, by the way, this is not just one voice. These are the few clips that we could look at, because it would take us like a long time if we are to look at everything. Yeah? But now that the effort of these people literally educating and talking about how they've been lied to, nobody ever expected this. And I've come across quite a number of clips from melanated people that are like, oh wow, we didn't know this time is going to come for you. And I think this goes to confirm that if you convince the poorest of them, palm-colored people, that you are better than the best of a colored man or, a black man, yes, they will literally let you pick your kid. You will take everything they have, because they are not going to realize. They will live in that fantasy of thinking, oh, I am better. And right now, we are looking at it, because the same programs that were put in place to benefit even them, they are alive to them. And the most interesting thing is, it was not even so much effort. You know how black people fought, and they have been fighting, and they are still fighting? Yeah, these people, it wasn't even so much. It's just a matter of mere lies told to them. That the problem that you have in this country, the reason as to why you are not rich, the reason as to why you're not getting this, is because they're black people. When black people decided to vote, and they're like, it's for the benefit and the good of all of us, these people were like, no, we want all of it for ourselves. I think this takes us back to how individualistic palm-colored people are in nature. And they have managed to actually pass some of these behaviors, and culture to our people, But still, the reflection of how good our people are, it's uncomparable compared to them. Because black people voted for healthcare. They literally consider everybody else. Even when it comes to education. Yeah, education was free till black people started, to get educated. And now they made it so expensive that even them, a lot of them can't afford. A lot of them are stuck in student loans. Healthcare, it used to be free until when black people started receiving it. And they're like, no, they can't. Yeah, now their memos and papas are being kicked out of nursing homes. Big, beautiful bill. So, I think this goes to reflect a lot of systems that would have been better for everybody. The transportation system would have been good for everybody. But they knew if they make it better, they're going to have to endure to sit close to black people. So, they're not investing in that. While their people are crying of prices that are literally soaring, that are going so high. Alligator Alcatraz, even if it's now confirmed that it's going to be shut because of the poor conditions, imagine how much money was spent. Think about it. Do you see how expensive racism is? A lot of money was spent to build that facility in the shortest period of time. Now it's about to be closed. Money lost. Cost of living is going high. Prices of groceries are not going down. The gas? No. You don't deserve it. Yeah? But now it's being closed. They were talking about, how all these communities are like, everybody's just getting out of control. We need to police these areas. Their women are getting dragged out of town hall meetings by men. They never wanted rights for women. Voted for the man that wants women to be pushed back in the 1800s. Now, it's the women that are facing it. Unfortunately, when it comes to, all these disasters that are happening, didn't you see the ladies that were crying in Florida? Yeah, because their houses were washed by the flood. And guess what? None of them showed up to help. Racism is what? Expensive. And what I'm loving about these, episodes and these revelations is now that palm-colored people are realizing they've never been special. Because he made them feel special. But now, it's time to know who is the real special one. The billionaires and the rich ones. And let me tell you, it's so good to see. Because now, they're going to have to fight. They're going to literally get on the ground. Yeah? They are going to be on the front line. Because it is affecting them. You know why they never used to shout and say anything and raise their voices and support black people and brown people? Because it wasn't affecting them. Now, it is affecting majority of them. For the red states, especially in the South, that makes relatively like the lowest. Yeah? It is time because they are going bankrupt. Now that their farms are being taken, they used not to support, they never gave help to black farmers, confiscated their farms, unalived their animals, right? Now, they're losing their farms. They are going bankrupt. And red states that have been depending on government assistance, it's not there anymore. Racism is what? Expensive. Yeah. How hateful do you have to be for you to later on realize that the people you were blaming for your problems, they were actually the ones that were helping you to even stay sane? Because now the masks are falling off. It's so good to see. I can't lie. The masks are falling off. And they are seeing who the real enemy is. I think we are going to see so many of them waking up. I can't lie. So many of them. You probably have seen already. But this is the beginning of just the child labor pains. I think the Most High has a way of always, opening people's eyes. And I think 2020 year is that year where the Most High took off the blindfolds and now these people can clearly see in 4K, in HD, that you know what? We've actually costed this country. The systems we've supported have costed this country the best. Now these people are literally busy admiring countries that are looked at as third world countries. Some of them even wish to be in North Korea. Some of them even wish to literally be in third world countries because now they are realizing they've never had good leaders anyway. We are seeing a lot of them. Now, the same people that wanted immigrants out, they are getting out. Imagine, if I can't have it, you can't have it either. That's the mindset. Yeah? Well, this is where we are in 2025, and I want you guys to let me know what you think in the comment section. My melanated people, let me know what you think. And for the palm-colored people that are doing the work, amazing. Good job. Hopefully you wake more others, and they see what this society has always been about. I think for me for today, that's it. Do me a favor, like the video, share it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in another amazing video. Until then, my name is Gracie. Love all of you. Bye.